My name's Ree Pearson and I'm here to talk to you today about the importance of data capture. At the time of recording this training, we will all have experienced the complete shutdown last week of Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, which is quite timely considering what we're going to talk about on this video. How did you feel when those things closed down? Were you happy that that was just one of those things? Did you worry about your business? Is your business all on social media? Because one of the things we'll talk about today is how it's not a really good idea to build your business on rented property. And Facebook and Instagram are rented properties. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm hoping that, yes. And this is what happened, isn't it? What would you do if social media didn't exist? Like it was, I think it was down for about 6 hours last week. And to be honest with you, I only noticed because I use WhatsApp to communicate with my teenager. And he was actually traveling up the country at the time. And I was like, what's going on? But it's all right. I've got another app that actually tracks him. So I stalk him, but that's okay because I am his mother. And he is actually aware that I'm stalking him. But seriously though, do you have processes in place to make sure that the information that you receive from your customers is contained within your system rather than Mark Zuckerberg's system? Not that there's anything wrong with social media, and it is a fantastic tool, but you need to have your own tools that you own, that are in control of you, so they don't go down. Obviously we'll have to use the internet, but you know, pieces of paper are also fine. So where are you keeping the information? Here are my top tips for data capture. Basically you have to have data capture, otherwise you don't actually have a business. You have to maintain regular contact with your customers because it is much easier to retain a customer than it is to get one in the first place. So you put a lot of energy into getting a customer, and then you need to remember to look after and nurture that customer in whatever business it is you're running, because that customer will bring you more happy customers. Because if your customer service is brilliant, and maintaining contact is really, really important, because that is part of good customer service. You know yourself, when you buy something, you will then get information from that company constantly. It might not be every day, it might not be every week, but you will get, that company will have a system in place to maintain some contact with you, and that's what you need to do with your business. You need to keep in contact with your customer because your customer needs to feel valued, and you need to have a reason for people to join your customer list, because not everybody will become a customer straight away. So you need to have something in place where people say, oh, actually, I'm interested in that, but it may be that they're not quite ready to buy yet. But if you can bring them in and have their information and drip feed them little bits of content every now and then on a systematic way, then it will get to the point that they will buy from you. And you must be corporate across all of your platforms. So don't have a different name on your email, that's on your website, that's on your Facebook, that's on your Instagram, that's on your TikTok, etc. and so forth. I would advise that you have the same name where possible across all the platforms that you're going to use, because you don't want to be confusing anybody. You need to know, sorry, I'm just shuffling here. You need to know what your customer habits are. Now, one of the ways you can do that is to ask your customers questions. So if, for example, one of the things I have is I have a Facebook group, and yes, that's on social media, but when they join my Facebook group, they have to answer a couple of questions and they have to leave an email address. So I can then contact them after the event, they're in the group, and then I can add them into my system so they will get emails And I know why they are in the group, because they have answered the questions. Not all of your customers are looking for the same thing. Now, we talk about the customer avatar. So you've probably all done that exercise where you try to niche down to find out who your ideal customer is. And we can't all have, you know, there is not one ideal customer for your business. There may be several. And that's why you need to think about what is the best thing for your customer. So if you're asking the right questions, that will point them in the right, you will be able to then point them in the right direction for what it is within your company that they are looking for. And of course, it's giving them that little bit of personal service, isn't it? And as I said, it is 7 times harder to gain a customer than it is to retain one. So you have to make it worth their while to stay. Certainly, if you are in sales, you want that person to come back. And of course, it depends on what the product is. If you've got, what is the word I'm looking for? A product that is, they use soap, for example. Yes, yeah, let's use soap. If you sell lovely soap, you want that customer to come back again and again and again for the soap that they're using on a daily basis. And it's always best to have a really good customer service, a really good customer follow-up, perhaps a little questionnaire a week or two after you've made a sale to them to say, you know, for some feedback. Is this lovely? Did you like it? Why did you like it? You know, make them feel special, because people do like to help. So if you make them feel special by asking them to help, that will then encourage them to buy from you again. Unless, of course, it was awful, but then at least that will inform you that your product isn't to the standard that they wanted it. So even stuff like that is worth knowing about. In fact, it's probably more worth knowing about than everything's perfect. Thank you very much. Looking at emails now, let's look at the statistics here. So we've got 74% of adults use their email at least once a week, and only 49% of adults use social media. So it is obvious that the best place for you to be is having a list of customers and their email contacts, and also their mobile contacts if you can, because you can use a WhatsApp broadcast to speak to your customers as well. So email is still the best place to be, and email marketing is what works. So what you want to do is you want to create a funnel. Now, a funnel is where you start off with a big lot of people, and not everybody's going to be your customer. And of course, you have no control over who comes to your website and signs up for your newsletter. What you need to do is then have things in place so you know that when, say, 100 people sign up for your newsletter, not all of them will become your customer. And actually, you probably wouldn't want all of them to become your customer, because if they're not the ideal customer for you, they're probably going to cause you more headaches than anything else. So you're connecting with those people who will go on to become customers, and the ones who don't go on to become customers will drop off. But as long as you're maintaining this system, that funnel will build and build and build. So some of the easiest ways to data capture, the very simple one, is on Facebook groups, because you're asking them to leave their email in order to enter your group. Some people won't do it. Some people are still very averse to that kind of thing. One of the ways that I've got over that sort of reluctance to leave an email address is the question I ask them is actually, please leave your email address, but I promise not to send you anything inappropriate in the middle of the night. And that kind of breaks the ice. It's not formal at all. It's very informal, a bit funny, I hope. And most of the people who come into my Facebook group do leave their email address. I do still let people in if they don't, and that's fine, but that means that down the line they're not going to get any freebies from me, because I have no way to contact them other than on social media, and I'm too busy contacting people on email, because that's how I want to run my business, and that's fine. Another way to do it is the old-fashioned way, which is attending events and leaving, if you've got a stall, leaving forms, leaving questionnaires, so that people can leave their details. And of course, you're going to have to, you know, transfer that information onto a spreadsheet or whatever. And that's a little bit laborious in the 21st century, but people are quite happy to leave that, especially if it's a competition entry. If you could attend an event and there's a little prize for somebody to win. I mean, the company I work with, we've got a £20,000 prize competition running at the minute, and that just means that it gives me an in to follow people up, to speak to them about whether they'd like to become a customer or not. But the £20,000 prize is very much, you know, they like that. It's a lot of money, so that's good. If you're going to use if you're going to give somebody a receipt, send it on a text, because you don't want to leave, you don't want to be using too much paper. Think of the trees. So use a way to capture their email or send them a text message, and then you could say, would it be okay if I followed up to see how things are? And people are usually quite happy for that to happen. If they've said yes to looking at your product, then they said yes to buying your product, they are very likely to say yes again, because they've got into the habit of saying yes. They will just say yes, that's fine, you can send me an email or a text, that's not a problem. And again, ask for feedback. One of the big things for selling is getting testimonials from other people, because everybody knows that you think that your product is amazing and that's why you sell it, why that's your company. But actually, third-party testimonials are massive. So ask for them and follow up and ask for them, because people will trust if other people give you a glowing reference. I mean, my book's got 44 5-star on Amazon, which is, to me, that's absolutely amazing. But that's because it's not me saying it, it's other people saying it. And what I did when I published my book, I actually gave the manuscript of the book to 50 people who I know and trust. And 6 of them obviously haven't done anything with it, because that's 50 people. And I said, if I give you the manuscript for free, would you give me an honest review on Amazon? And they said yes, and I've got all 5-star reviews on Amazon, so that worked. But ask people for testimonials, because testimonials are one of the biggest ways to help you get sales. And to get a testimonial, you need to capture the customer data so that you can follow up and say, thank you, please could I have a testimonial? And give them a little bit of information about what's happening next, what's happening with your business, what's happening with your products. You know, send them a survey, send them a quiz, send them something to make them feel engaged in what you're doing and make them know, like, and trust you. And of course, the big biggie one is a website. If you don't have a website, please, even if it's just a data capture page, get one, because this is gold dust if people sign up for a newsletter. But if people sign up just to hear from you, if you're writing blogs, you can send them the blog when it's published, and they, you know, the whole point is to get people onto your website. Really, everything is about to get people on your website, because that's where they can buy things, buy your services, buy your courses, buy your products, but get them engaged and get them signed up with their email address. Yeah, I keep my data in my computer. My computer is locked and it's password protected. Anything that's on paper, I've got a filing cabinet with a lock and key, like a proper one that came from a proper office. But it's in my house because I work from home, so that gets locked away. I always ask permission to keep people's data. The emails I use, MailChimp. There are other automatic email providers out there. I can't use any of them because I have dyscalculia and I just can't fill forms in. So my husband does MailChimp for me, and that is basically you upload all of the spreadsheet with your data and your customer contact details on, or your potential customer contact details on, and write emails to them that go out systematically. I get emails where I've signed up, when I've subscribed to people, I get emails every day. Sometimes I get them every week. Sometimes I get them once every couple of weeks. And it's down to you what you do. The biggest thing with sending emails is to make sure that they're relevant for the people who've signed up for them, because if they're not relevant, and I have done this myself and you will have done it too, you will unsubscribe. Sometimes I've subscribed to something and then I feel like I'm getting bombarded, so I unsubscribe, and that's not very good. So you need to gauge what your customers need and make a decision which is right for your business. And I guess there's going to be a little bit of trial and error for that. So with my utilities business, I send out an email every 2 weeks. With my book, I haven't started sending out emails properly yet, but the system will be probably a couple of times a week, and also when there's a blog. So, you know, probably like 9 or 10 in a month. Also, you could use a WhatsApp broadcast. If you keep people's telephone numbers, you can set up a WhatsApp broadcast. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. And I'm going to read this to make sure that I'm not getting it wrong. So a WhatsApp broadcast is not a group. So if you go into WhatsApp, you can send the same private message to anybody all at the same time, but they cannot see that it's gone to other people. So it's a private message from you to other people. That's exactly the same message, but it looks like it's personal. Does that make sense? I hope. So if you go onto your WhatsApp, click on the 3 dots that are on the top of the screen on your phone, and then choose new broadcast. And then it will let you choose who to broadcast to, because it's not a group, it's a broadcast. It will let you choose who to broadcast to, and you can tick those people in, put them into the broadcast, and then you can give that broadcast a name. So it could be the name of your business, like it could be repeatyourself.com, for example, or Be Kind, No Excuses, for example. And you send that message, and you send it as a personal message. So you say, hello, whatever you want to say, best regards, Ray, for example. And that same message will go to all of those people who are in that broadcast, but they can't see each other because it's not a group. I hope that makes sense. So you need to have your list. So have your list on WhatsApp. I know that doesn't belong to us, but it's a good one. And have your list from your website as much as possible, because even Santa Claus has a list. Things that you can do to bring attention to yourself. I have a blog on my website, repeatyourself.com. You could do a podcast. You could also do other people's podcasts. What I've done, because I haven't got a podcast of my own, is I am being interviewed quite a lot on other people's podcasts. I'm also being interviewed on lives on social media, and they are also being uploaded onto YouTube. So I'm actually just about to set up my own YouTube channel for my book, Be Kind, No Excuses, because I interview people live on social media on a Wednesday night, and they just sit there. And then, of course, I have to think, well, what would happen if social media crashed? Oh dear, that's what happened last week. So I'm like going to set up the YouTube channel, because then it will be there. So the newsletter is also attached to my website, and of course the lives on social media, which you can then repurpose and put them in a video onto YouTube. I hope that's good for you. I hope that's enough work to be doing. And the purpose of all of this data capture is to funnel people to the place where you make your sales, which will either be your website, or if you are selling product, it could be that you use Etsy rather than have a website, but Etsy is kind of like a website anyway. So your relationships bring your referrals. So building relationships with your customers through contacting them through email and broadcast on WhatsApp, and speaking to them in their language, if you like. It's not what you want, is it? It's what they want. That's more important, because they are the customer. You provide the service or the product, and it's what they are after. That's the most important. So you need to get to know what your customers need. And just remember that you are the only person who sees 100% of your content. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to send out an email every day, that's just too much. actually, not everybody's going to see it. You're the only person who's going to see it. And repurpose and recycle your content, because, you know, when Nissan make an advert for cars, and you're watching TV or you're at the cinema and the ads come on, it's not a different advert every single time. They recycle that advert for months. And strangely enough, I was on the Isle of Skye about 10 years ago, and they were making adverts for Volvo, the cars. And that was 10 years ago. And the current Volvo advert is the advert that they made 10 years ago. They've just repurposed it and used it again, because it must cost a lot of money. So don't think that you have to put something new up anywhere every single day. If you're using social media, it is good to use it every single day, but, you know, repurpose it, put it elsewhere. Like I said, put the videos, put the blog, put posts up, put questions up, and then use them in your blogs. You know, when you're on social media and you're in your group and people are talking, or on your page, you can use that content to inform the information that goes onto your website. So you're not thinking of new things all the time, because you don't need to. The other thing with email is I have my out of office on all of the time. So my signature is, depending on which business I'm in, it is appropriate and has a picture of whatever it is. So it's either a picture of my utilities or a picture of my book cover, and my signature. And then when somebody emails me, the system is set so it says out of office, and so that person will get an email back immediately saying, I'm sorry, thank you for your email. I'm sorry I can't respond to it straight away, but I'll get straight back to it as soon as I can. I've actually got my social media set up like that as well. So that if you send a message to my page on Facebook or Instagram, you will get a message back saying, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Because obviously on social media, there's no etiquette around messaging. You just can do it 24/7. Whereas with a text message, people tend to wait till after 9 AM, don't they? And you never phone anybody before 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, because that would be rude. And I hope that's helpful. I don't think there's anything else. Thanks very much. I'm Marie Pearson at mariepearson.com.